I'm very impressed by your daughter running a marathon at White
Yeah, well,
Wings. Like, that's
she didn't quite
crazy.
get a marathon. She did. So my oldest did 22.
Hello, my friends, and welcome back to Runnah, your favorite local running community. I'm Juliana. We are here again with one of our virtual interviews for someone who is local to Massachusetts, but just not quite local to the Cape, which is very understandable. I understand the Cape is a very small community, but we have someone who is a very active member in the Trail Animals Running Club, or TARC, as many people call it, and also someone who I feel like has a very unique family approach to trail running. But we have Jenny Houlahan with us today. Welcome, Jenny.
Thank you. It's good to be on.
Yeah, I'm very excited to talk to you just again about like the trail running community, which is something that I've really only gotten into in the last like year and a half. And just something that I'm more passionate about now. I mean, I'm sure like you just were watching, like I was, like you were watching Cocodona.
Yes, yeah.
We saw Rachel is her name?
Yes,
Rachel finish and break the course record, which is very exciting.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
we were driving. I was driving my kids back from their forest school to my mom's house for bed, and they were watching the live stream in the back.
Yeah.
Listening to it. It's super fun.
Yeah. It's just, for me, like this is like peaks Juliana watching sports. Like I don't really watch any other sports. I'm like, but I am going to watch trail running.
Yes, yeah.
Which is very exciting. But yeah, let's first dive into where you started running. Like, what is the Jenny origin story when it comes to like your running journey specifically?
Yeah, so I am essentially a lifelong runner. I grew up running just for fun. My mom was always a runner, and my dad had been a runner too, but I forget whether it was around the time I was born or a little bit before. He had vertebrae fused in his back. And so that caused him to switch from running to biking. So he became a biker. And then my mom always ran like 6 miles in our neighborhood every morning. And that was like her self-care and time. And so I remember being like, I want to get up and run with you too. And I would do that sometimes, although usually I would sleep in. And so later in the day, I would run. I want to say maybe 9 years old or so, I started doing that. And we had a lovely, like, safe neighborhood, so I could just do loops as I wanted to. But it's funny, I remember being like a little shy. And so I would go kind of at dusk and maybe with sunglasses on because it just felt like it was like kind
undercover.
of in my own world. But we didn't have middle school running programs. So I just kept doing it kind of on my own, pretty casual. And we would do 5Ks as a family, just basic, community
like a
one.
turkey trot or something, whatever the community is doing.
Yeah. And then in high school, I ran cross country for 2 years. I switched to field hockey, but I ran track all 4 years. And then in college, I actually played rugby at James Madison University.
Oh, okay.
Yes, which was super fun. It was a club sport, which meant like we weren't funded, but everyone worked super. Yeah, so I remember sleeping in hotel rooms, like 2 hotel rooms for the team, so people were sleeping in bathtubs.
That sounds about right. It sounds like a club team to me.
Yeah, but it was a really amazing team. There's some really talented ladies on it, and some of them went to the national team. So it was like you worked really hard, lots of running. I think I remember leading some of the run workouts, but I would also run on my own just for fun. And so I started doing like 6-mile loops around campus, and then ran my first marathon after, I think it was between my junior year and senior years. I ran the San Francisco Marathon, which was super awesome. And had fun with that. And then, just kind of continued running. I did 2 triathlons, and then actually did the Cape Cod Marathon.
Nice.
Soon after moving to the area, I want to say that was like 2011. So that was the last time I did.
You were on the old course. Yeah, you were like
Yeah.
that was on the old hilly course that went through Sippawisset up Tom Landers. Like,
Yeah. That sounds right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But it was
Yeah.
beautiful. But that's the last time I've actually done a road marathon. Like, so I just did those two, the San Francisco one and the Cape Cod. And then, and then I had, so my oldest is almost 12. She's turning 12. And I didn't really do anything except 5Ks, when I had my kids. I was still running. I ran through all of my second pregnancy. With the other ones, I would like run some. I did CrossFit through the first one and then hiked through the third one. But yeah, pretty much have just kept running. And then when my youngest was almost 3, so this would have been like 2022.
Okay, 4 years ago.
Yeah. So I randomly was like, I kind of feel like racing now. Like it doesn't feel like it would be stressful anymore. Yeah. And I happened upon Ghost Train online.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And this was back when you could actually sign up a little closer to the race. Now it's like,
I'm still on the wait list. I'm supposed to run that in the fall because I'm looking to reach a 50 mile, which would be 60 miles if I do it because you have to do the 15-mile increments. But that's kind of the venue I'm choosing for that. But
it's so great. It's so great for doing like personal distance, pushing that a little bit.
You have the full 30 hours if you get into the 30-hour time period. I'm like 75 on the waiting list, and Rob keeps telling me, he's like, you're probably going to get in, Juliana. I was like, I will train as if I will,
Yeah. I mean, injuries happen, life happens. So people come off, but it's such a perfect race. And for me, I was like, okay, like, if I just do 15, then that's fine. And training for that, like, I think I ran 15 miles as my longest training run. And I did it all on like the local rail trail with a stroller and my kids biking. I think I did like one trail run and then I was able to run 30.
Nice.
And and then I got super excited, got into the TARC events, and then just kind of went from there. So that was that like 3.5 years ago or so.
Okay. So you're pretty new to the trail running scene. To me, like you feel like you're a veteran of this for a while. I'm like, she's probably been running trails since she was like 2.
Yeah.
That's kind of my vibe.
Yeah. Well, so when my older 2 were like 3 and 1, we started hiking a lot, but we would just do like local trails around here. And then when I was pregnant with my third, as most people do, then you start getting into the mountains when you're pregnant.
Because you're like, this is a little bit like too easy we've done this before.
And so we started there's a list called the 52 of the View, which are like these smaller mountains in New Hampshire. So we started doing that. And then when my youngest was, I think, 6 months, we started in on the 4,000 footers. And so, so
like backpacking with the kid in
so I would carry him. And then my middle kiddo, Lucy, she was 3. And then Sophie was, I guess she was 6. And so, it was slow going, but we really got into like trails that way first, I guess.
Yeah.
And so I got very, just comfortable being out on the trails. And once you get comfortable being out on the trails in the whites, then most trail running, courses seem pretty mellow.
Yeah. So it's okay. So you and your family pretty much entered the trail scene at the exact same time. Because again, like in my head, I was like, oh, she's probably been running trails like forever. And like, it's just kind of natural for her to be like, my kids also run trails because I am a trail running human, It's just something I do. Like, I mean, I've talked to Patrick, but he's like always just been like a trail human. Like I talked to him, he's like, I've just been doing this since I was like 6. I'm like, I understand. This is why you're like a professional. But okay. So it's a pretty new thing to you then. And also obviously your kids too. They're growing up with it.
Yeah.
And it sounds like to me, you kind of made a conscious decision to involve them in this. Talk to me about how that kind of came about. Cause you could definitely like facilitate childcare, like in some capacity, I'm sure. And like go out on your own. You're like, this is my me time, but you've kind of turned it into family time.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. I definitely made a conscious decision to involve them in the hiking.
Mm-hmm.
And that was like a big thing for us. So we really got into it, when COVID hit.
Yeah.
And we decided to homeschool then. And
Okay.
so, like a lot of people, it was like, okay, well, we're kind of sticking to ourselves, right now.
Yeah.
We don't have a lot else going on. Like, let's
Mm-hmm.
just get out to the trails. And then it started to be like our adventure days.
Mm.
And I really, really enjoyed it. And I still really, really enjoy it.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of our thing that we do as a family. And also, so my husband recently finished his computer science degree that he was working on for 6 years. So that was
Oh,
pretty
good
much
for
like,
him.
yeah. But so he was busy most of the time. Like, so he works
Mm-hmm.
full time and then he would be working on the weekends and the
Studying. Yeah.
evenings and stuff. Yeah. And
Mm-hmm.
I'd be like, well, if he's not available, let's go out and do our thing.
Yeah.
And so yeah, so it was funny because I definitely made a conscious decision to do that. And then eventually
Mm-hmm.
we decided to go for the full 48.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but with the trail running, I think I wonder, the girls were just kind of interested in joining me. Augie,
Mm-hmm.
my youngest, was still a little bit young.
Yeah.
And we would do like rail trail runs. I would run, they would bike or be in the
Mm-hmm.
stroller. And then it kind of just happened sort of organically because they would like to run along, especially when we were coming down a mountain. They
Mm-hmm.
would love to run along, or when we were at our local state park, they'd love to run along.
Yeah.
And then they expressed interest. And I was like, yeah, well, I mean, you're doing these like 10-mile mountain hikes. I would assume that you can, with packs.
Yeah.
I
You
would
can run
assume that
without the pack potentially,
yeah,
a lighter
yeah.
version.
Yeah. So
Mm-hmm.
the first race, we had done like our local turkey trot 5K
Yeah.
trail race. But then the first race that Lucy and Sophie did, I think it was about 3 years ago, they did the TARC Summer Classic 10-miler.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And it was funny because just a week before they had climbed Mount Washington, which is about 10 miles too, but a little bit harder.
Yeah.
So, but Laura, who's a race director, was so nice because I said, I don't want them to worry about rushing. And the
Mm-hmm.
40 milers were starting at 7 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
and the 10 milers were starting at 9 a.m. So I just emailed her and I was like, I know the girls can do the distance, but we hike a
Mm-hmm.
lot too,
Yeah.
kind of alternate. Would it be okay to start with the 40 milers? And then we're not, I'm not,
Holding everyone
they're not
up.
worried
Yeah.
about timing. And of course,
Yeah.
it actually doesn't matter because everyone's out there all day anyways,
Yeah.
because of the 40 milers. But she was so nice and said, yeah, no, of course.
That's
So they
great.
had a great, yeah. And so they had a great experience. And then we just kind of kept joining in for races. And then my husband started joining. And then Augie started joining this past year.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I think that's really amazing. And it sounds like it was pretty organic, just all the things that happened.
Yeah.
If people are looking to potentially kind of maybe following your footsteps a little bit, do you have like any like lessons you've learned along the way or like tips and tricks for people? Because I know like you and I are both active in that like women trail running ultra marathon Facebook. And I feel like you always have such like great feedback for people when they have like a question or a concern. So I have a feeling that you might have some good feedback for people as well. If they're thinking like, I also am a trail running human. I would like to involve my family in this. Like my kids are expressing the fact that they would like to maybe join me. What recommendations, tips, tricks, like anything that you've found along the way that has been helpful, lay it on me.
Yeah. So honestly, the biggest thing that worked for us was hiking first.
Okay.
And just getting out on the trails. And then, so you get, and it kind of works like with the way that our bodies train anyways, you build that like aerobic base, right? And you get used to time on feet and you get used to being on the trails. And then your kids are going to kind of naturally want to just run along some of the time. And that's how it happened for us. So honestly, like I think hiking first is an awesome way to go. And it also, I know like for those of us who have, gotten into the trail running world, trails are just fun, right? They're just fun to be on. So you get your kids interested that way. But then also when I used to train on the rail trails, which I don't do that often anymore because the kids can just run with me now. But when they were little, I would load up the double stroller and my like one or two of my girls would bike. I'd have
Mm-hmm.
our old dog with us too. He didn't run quite as much, but he'd come some of the time.
Mm-hmm.
And they would just be able to pop in and out of the stroller as they wanted to. So that's especially good for like the younger ages, because you can still get your workout in. Like we have this 8 mile trail over in Salisbury, and I would use that all the time. And the kids could just pop out and run anytime they wanted to, or they could be on their balance bikes. And so they're a part of it. You're still getting your workout in, right? And man, pushing the stroller, I missed that training effect. It was so helpful.
Yeah, that sounds like it'd be very heavy, especially if there's children inside of it too.
Yeah, sometimes it was 3 and then a bike or 2 on top, which I really, Bob Strollers probably doesn't approve of the way I used the strollers, but we made it work. And, it was a flat rail trail. But so, yeah, those 2 things, honestly, I think are the best ways to get started, just hiking with them. And then also doing stroller runs. Like the rail trails are so great because you're not worried about road crossings. You're not worried about, bumps
lost,
and,
really.
everything. Yeah. So it's totally safe. The kids can run around. And so those were the 2 things that we did the most. And then finding just like local 5Ks that you can start with. We always do like the Maudsley Turkey Trot, and it's so family friendly. Like I think I used a stroller one time for Augie, and then another time I like put him in a carrier on my back and I'm kind of running along. Also probably not, but he was like 3 at that point.
That's fine. Their brains aren't like at that point anymore. He'll be okay.
Yeah. I remember a friend messaged me and she's like, I'm pretty sure I saw you because I saw somebody with a child strapped to their body running. And I'm like, that was me. That was me.
That was me. Guilty as charged.
Just in trying those. And then once they're ready to like do a race kind of on their 2 feet, with those 5K races, if they're interested in doing a little bit more, a race like White Lake or TARC or Hale and Back, where it's a loop course, a shorter loop course, where they can just say, yes, I want to do a loop and see how it goes, come back, enjoy way too much candy from the aid station, and just enjoy the community. Like that's a perfect way to kind of take a step up, because you're not committing to say like, we're going to do this huge race and and it's, I don't know, that can be a little intimidating. So yeah, the loop courses are great.
Yeah. Because I know with White Lakes, it was like slightly over 2 miles for a loop, correct?
It's under 2 miles. It used to be, I think the year we did it, it was going to be 3 miles. I think that had been their thing. It might've included some road sections, and then there were blowdowns. So it was like 2.2, but since then they just have kept it to like immediately around the lake. So it's just 2 miles.
It's the 2 miles. Yeah. Yeah. And it's the time. So you can pick the 6 to 12 or the 24 hours. So yeah. I mean, those all sound like really great tips. When it comes to gear, have there been like any pieces of gear? Because I'm imagining like where your kids are now, they're probably carrying their own gear potentially. And I understand like people's, even like larger people, smaller people, like finding gear for like teeny tiny bodies can definitely be challenging sometimes. What is your recommendation for people who are like, I would like to maybe buy my kids like a vest, or like maybe they want a waist belt, or like, how am I going to carry their like water and nutrition with me? What has been helpful for you with that?
So the pack that my kids use the most often is actually the Solomon ADV 12 liter. It's not cheap. So I definitely started with that one, but they've gotten 2 years of use out of it. And we use it for all of our like warm weather mountain hikes too, because I can carry their extra gear. So they're typically with that for a mountain hike. They can fit like all their layers, their water, their headlamp and their emergency little bivy blanket. So it fits a lot, and it doesn't, it's super comfortable. So if they need to carry their own stuff, that's the perfect thing. But you can
get it in like the smallest size.
Extra small. Yeah.
Okay. I was just because I have a small, I have the advanced skin 10. And like, I understand I am a small-ish human, but I am not the size of a child. And I was just thinking, I was like, it must be like the smallest size they offer potentially.
Yeah.
I don't think they make kids vests specifically. I've never seen them.
So
Do
actually,
they?
yeah, my daughter, so Sophie has one that we got a little while ago. It's not as good. I'll try to find the name of it, but
Yeah.
it was a kid's one, and I want to say it was like $40. It's
Okay.
not ideal in what it can fit, but for a race, like she used it for the TARC 20 miler
Okay.
last year because she often, depending on the race, if
Hmm.
we determine it's like safe and easy to follow, she'll
Hmm.
often go on her own. So she'll definitely carry her own water and snacks. Often when we're racing, like I'm with either both of my younger kids or my husband
Hmm.
and I kind of tag team. So
Hmm.
typically for races, they're often not carrying their own water and snacks, but
You're kind of like muling it in your pack.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, which I don't mind.
Mhm.
But yeah, and then for parents, having like a slightly bigger pack where you can
Mhm.
carry a couple layers or some extra flasks and things like that. So for me, I love the Camelback packs. And so I
Okay.
like the Pro series. And I have the two different sizes. I have like the Zephyr, which is a little lighter, and I use that for White Lake. But
Mhm.
for Ghost Train and then for our training runs, most of our training runs where I need to like carry a little bit more for them, I'll use I think it's the Apex Pro. So
Okay.
that's nice because you can fit just a little bit more in those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you're filling up your packs, I'm just imagining there's
Yeah.
probably something that you're putting in your packs that like you didn't
Yeah.
think you would need
Yeah.
before you started kind of running with your family. Is there
Yes.
something that you would be like, yeah, friends, like I didn't think I would need this, but this now goes
Yeah.
in all of my packs and I bring it
Yeah.
every time?
Yeah.
Uh, what I can tell you have something. What is it?
An obscene amount of snacks. So
That
like
sounds correct.
especially so, and thankfully, Annie's gummies are really inexpensive. So
Yeah.
that's like our go-to. Like, if we're just heading out for a little run, I'm like, okay, 2 packs of gummies for everyone. Like, and
Yeah.
the Annie's ones are pretty cheap.
Hmm.
But yeah, just a lot of snacks. My youngest is actually really, really good at eating and
Okay.
fueling his body. My girls have been like they ebb and flow in how well
Hmm.
that they eat. But so I'll always ask them, what are your favorite snacks? What will you eat?
Hmm.
And it might be anything from like Lindt caramel chocolate or a meat stick, or
Hmm.
just obviously you want it to be like easy to digest, but
Hmm.
it runs the gamut. But yeah, so lots of snacks for sure. And then yeah, just layers because what
Hmm.
if sometimes we'll go out to our local state park where I don't really need to bring like emergency gear for that. It's very
Yeah.
like safe and mellow and we can get back to parking very easily. But sometimes, if the kids are just not feeling like running, then we'll hike. And so go a
Hmm.
little more slowly and need more layers and stuff like that. So, but yeah, more snacks than you ever think you would need for like a 3 mile run.
I love that. And I also really appreciate like the positive because I'm a dietitian and
Oh yeah, yeah.
yeah, I appreciate the positive food relationship that you're like trying to facilitate with your
Yeah.
kids, where you're
Mhm.
kind of like asking them like what is good, what do you feel like is good for
Mhm.
you? Like, are you hungry? Are you like
Mhm.
what do you want to like how do you want to fuel? I think that's extremely important. Do you
Yeah.
feel like that's been like challenging at all with the kids or like maybe even with yourself? Because I know like I mean, I grew up with a mom who is does not have a positive relationship with food in
Yeah.
any capacity. And I feel like a lot of the boomers out there just aren't good about that at all.
Mhm.
And it's an
Mhm.
evolving process for most people
Yeah.
across
Yeah.
their entire life. But especially with
Yeah.
kids, it's really important to
Mhm.
facilitate some kind of positive
For
relationship
sure.
with food. Um,
Yeah.
and maybe you want to speak to that, like how that journey has
Mhm.
gone for you.
Yeah. Well, actually, well, starting earlier, when I was like a high school and college athlete, I ate
Hmm.
really well. So I didn't have any problems with that, with like
Hmm.
underfueling.
Hmm.
And, I never had any problems with injuries or anything like that. I wasn't doing like super high mileage or anything, but I've never struggled in my younger years.
Hmm.
And then in my 20s, um, we had like a lot of family stuff going on. So I lost my sister to suicide.
Oh
And
wow.
then, like 2 years later, I lost my dad to cancer. So it was a
I'm
really
sorry.
hard time. And to deal with that, I controlled food.
Mm-hmm.
and had like really unhealthy behaviors, both with food and exercise. It was interesting though, for me, it was more about like numbing and controlling things that I could control so that
Yeah.
I wouldn't feel anxious. So it wasn't actually so much about like being a certain size or
Mm-hmm.
losing weight, but it was something that I could control.
Yeah, I
And
would
I
say
think,
for like 90% of the people with it was some kind of like disordered eating. It's usually a control thing.
yeah,
It's not
yeah,
necessarily like a very small population. It is like the physical appearance, but like
yeah,
it's a sense of control. And like with honestly, with anything that's related to food, again, I've been a dietitian for like 10 years now.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
usually an emotional challenge that someone is
yeah,
going through.
yeah,
And that's largely the root of the problem. I think of myself more as a food therapist than anything.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
and if
yeah,
we can work through some emotional problems, then usually things kind of resolve themselves for the
yeah,
most part with a little bit of guidance.
yeah. Yeah, and so, having had that struggle myself, I'm definitely like, I
Where,
keep an eye, yeah, aware is
yeah,
a good word of it.
yeah,
Aware of that. And also just in my high school years and then in my 20s, that was a time where a lot of female athletes in particular just weren't fueling well, right?
and
Reds
we're
was the
very
serious
skinny,
problem. Yeah, yeah. And it
like
just
stick thin.
wasn't, yeah, it wasn't something that coaches promoted. They didn't promote proper fueling. You didn't have the high carb phenomenon
Yeah.
and studies and everything. So, um, yeah, just growing up at that time, I'm 43. So
Mhm.
when I was younger, it just wasn't a thing. People just didn't fuel properly.
Mhm.
Um, and I'm very sensitive to the fact that my kids are young athletes, and
Yeah.
I just want to make sure that they're fueling their bodies, especially as young athletes. I don't
Mhm.
want them to fall
They're
into,
growing too.
yes, growing. Exactly. So if anybody needs to fuel, it's them. So yeah, and it's funny. I'm sure the people around me at White Lake got a little tired of me. Every time we'd come around, I'd be like, okay, what are we going to eat that's energy rich? Because my kids kept going for
Uh-huh.
like the pickles and the sushi, the nori. And I
Uh-huh.
was like, that's great. That's great for electrolytes. But what energy foods are we going to
Mhm.
eat? We always talk,
Yeah.
that's how I refer to them, because I'm like, we
Mhm.
use a lot of energy. So we need to take in a lot of
Mhm.
energy. So
I think
yeah,
that's a
so
great way to approach it, honestly.
yeah,
It just kind
yeah.
of and treating it a lot more like it's a positive neutral, like
Mhm.
it's not something that there's not like a negative side effect
Yeah.
to doing that. It's like, okay, that's how I like when I work with people on like their food challenges and things like that. Like I don't like having like the good and bad thing. I'm like,
Mhm.
is it
Mhm.
making positive progress towards the goal you want to achieve?
Yes.
Like
Yeah, yeah.
that is my thing is like there's not a bad food here, but there are foods that are going to help us reach our goal faster.
Mhm.
And with your
Mhm.
kids, it's running
Yeah.
around the lake. So
Yeah.
like we're going to need some
Yeah.
carbs or some energy rich
Yeah.
foods.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's still a work in progress. I think with Lucy, she's funny. She actually loves fruits and vegetables so much and fresh food. Like sometimes
Nice.
when we're hiking, she's like, what fresh stuff did you bring? And I'm like, I didn't bring any. Like, I brought packaged snacks and Sammy. So I think I might put some work in it to like finding some homemade energy balls or
Hmm.
working a little bit on like bananas and dates. And I had brought dates too, but just like
Like
really
apple
working with her
slices or
on,
something. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, just something that she'll
Hmm.
really want to eat, because she still struggles to want to eat.
Hmm.
So, but yeah, so, and I think that she felt like a little less energetic than she thought she would. And I'm like, well, I think fueling a little more would
Hmm.
help with that, but it's something we'll work on. And, it's just lessons learned as they go along.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a learning process for you and
Yeah.
the kids too. I
Yeah.
mean, we have to
Yeah.
think they have I imagine myself back when I was like 12 or 13, I had no idea what I was doing. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I was
Yeah.
so clueless. So
Oh, yeah. And for
it,
me, it's funny thinking back, now I fuel so much, but
yeah.
like every 20 minutes when I'm doing longer races. But when I ran the San Francisco Marathon, um, first of all, for the race, I carried one goo and
Hmm.
I didn't even use it. I think I did get some Gatorade, like at the aid
Okay.
stations. I think I would alternate between like water and Gatorade. So maybe
Hmm.
got like 300 calories in, but I
Maybe.
didn't
Yeah.
fuel at all. And then in my training, again, it just wasn't something that people really talked
Hmm.
about or did. And so I was following a training program and training in the I grew up outside DC, so I was training in the summer, DC heat. I didn't bring any snacks. I didn't bring water,
like electrolytes or anything.
Yeah, nothing. I would just gut it out. And I actually did fine, maybe growing up in the heat and but it was just funny. It's just not something that people did. And now it's funny to think like, I don't go on a 30-minute run without like a flask in my belt with a snack. So, very different.
It's definitely interesting how fueling has evolved, even over the last like 2 or 3 years. It's pretty crazy, but in a positive way. It's great. Yeah. It's great to see people like adequately fueling, adequately hydrating, and just obviously, like, I mean, we just saw with Rachel at Cocodona, like doing better by like hours, which is crazy. Like, and like the world marathon, the guys just broke the world record for the marathon at London too. Like these people are like fueling properly and they are doing better for it, which is fantastic. So, and I commend you on like facilitating a positive environment around food with your kids, because that's definitely very challenging. And definitely a work in progress for everyone involved. But I think that's really great.
Thank you.
Now, for your family, I know you talked about that your daughter wants to run, both of your daughters want to run right now, full marathons. Do we have any like other big goals as a family that we're looking to achieve? Do you have any personal goals that you're kind of reaching towards? And like, what are those? Lay it on us.
Yeah. So, it's funny, like as the kids have gotten more into racing, I typically just do like one A race a year. And most of the time that's Ghost Chain. So I'll be running Ghost Chain for the 5th time this year. And I was successful in doing 100 miles last year.
Wow, that's awesome. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. So it's funny to think, as I was just telling you, like Ghost Chain's so great for like, sort of working up distance.
It's one of those choose your adventure races, because like, I mean, 30 hours is a pretty significant amount of time to be allotted for like whatever. I mean, for me, like, I'm just going to hit 60 and tap out. But I'm also the person too, that if you hit me from the right direction, you're like, Juliana, do you want to walk with me? I'll be like, yeah. And I'll just keep going.
Yeah. No, I love Ghost Train, everything about it. The community is so wonderful. And then Rob, the race director, is so nice. And I just like continued to meet more and more people. So last year, I'll actually back up. 2 years ago, I was trying to run 100, and I was raising money for the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention in my sister's honor.
That's awesome.
Oh, thank you. And I trained for 100, and my family came and crewed me. And then I was having knee issues. I also didn't do what I should have done in terms of like body heat maintenance overnight. Then I needed to stop at 75. And, I felt good in that I did everything I could. Like I really did need to stop and had a little femoral pain syndrome that I needed to work through. And, so in the context of doing my best, I absolutely did, but I wanted to do better. And what was funny last year was I kind of thought, well, I'll just go for a fast 30. Then I'll join my family the next day running the 15, because my girls, my husband, my brother and sister-in-law were all going to run that. And then 2 days before, I was like, why am I like giving up this chance to go after the goal again? Like I'm going to go after it. So I just went there. I didn't have pace. I didn't have crewers, but I know so many people in the community now. I like had friends along the way. But I was able to successfully do the 100. So this year, I think I'm going to take a similar approach with just like going and see how it goes. So that I don't put too much pressure on myself. But I would love to better my time. And just sort of, I felt like I executed pretty well. But, like I lost my cell phone for a little bit and spent 20 minutes trying to run around and find it. And maybe do my walk run intervals like a little bit differently, because I did walk run intervals for the first 60. And then I actually hiked the last 40. Which was fine, a strong hiker, but I feel like I could do the intervals a little bit differently to extend my running time.
Okay.
So that's my big personal goal, just like train if really well, and run even better at ghost train, and hopefully not have any patellofemoral syndrome, because that seems to be my thing after the 75 and the 100.
Yeah. I mean, I understand too. And I was just thinking of my experience at Stonecat this year, because you were the one who checked my head. And I was like, I understand with like having a bad day and giving it your all and being like, that was it. And like, since then I've got diagnosed with dystonia and like Ehlers-Danlos. So like, now I understand like where it came from, like all the falling and things like that. But I was telling my other friends, I was like, I slammed my head like 3 times. They're like, Julianne, why did you keep moving? I was like, I don't know. I felt okay for the most part.
Yeah. No, I remember. I remember when you came, I could see the bruise and the lumps are in form. But that course is tough. Like, I need to run it sometime. We're always volunteering because ghost train, but I've never seen so many bloodied knees from the runners coming back around, or so many, people just deciding, okay, maybe I won't quite hit, the distance I signed up for today, because it's hard.
Everyone I talked to was having a rough day, and like, I was just like, okay, it's not just me. Definitely not. I'm not solo in this experience. But yeah, definitely very interesting. I think the big problem with that race too is that we had that giant windstorm the night before, and like there was like this much leaves over. So you couldn't even, there wasn't a chance in the world you even could see the rocks and the roots that were underneath the leaves. So it was kind of just like, but yeah, I think that that's a great goal, and hopefully I'll see you there. I'm hoping to also be a ghost train. But I think it's wonderful too, the fact that you're able to like learn from last year, where you kind of have set the expectations at a reasonable spot. You're like, I put in the training. I don't have to go to 100 miles, but like, if I feel like I can, I'd like to. And just like taking that pressure off of yourself, I think is huge.
Yeah. It seemed to really work just to do, and I always tell the kids to do this for the loop races, like for White Lake. I'm like, just worry about the one loop or out and back that you're on right now. Like, when you think about the whole, big goal, it's so overwhelming, right? Like, and I even think that for my girls this weekend, because they had their sights set on possibly doing a marathon, the first few loops, they kind of got in their heads, and I kept saying, just worry about this loop. And then towards the end, you decide whether you're going to do another loop or not. Like, just worry about right now and maybe the next loop, like, So yeah, I do think that, it's a good mindset.
Yeah, I think that's a great mindset to have. And I think that's something all of us can really take away from this, is just like trying to just breathe and do the one loop. Like, you can have, and just have the mindset too of like, I'm only here to do this. I don't have to do anything more. But if I want to go one more time, I can. And I think that's a really healthy way to look at things, both as a kid, as a parent, and as someone who is looking to conquer some larger distances yourself. So I think your kids have a great mom, and I think they're very lucky.
Thank you.
So any other like small sentiments or tips that you want to leave people with before we head into what shoe do you choose to use?
I think it's good, like, for parents who want to do like adventurous stuff or running stuff, like to have their kids join them in the stuff that they do. Like, don't worry about sticking with the norm. Like, it's okay to break the mold and do your own thing. Like, you don't have to do what everyone else is doing. It's okay to be like, okay, this is something I think my kids would benefit from, and this is a family activity we enjoy. Because I think sometimes people think, like, if they are active, then they think my kids have to be in team sports. That's how kids are active. Or they can only run a mile. That's what kids.
That's the gap, that's the end.
Yeah. And it's like, well, in many cultures, kids are, walking very long ways, just as
or
part
running
of
to school, even like,
so I think it can be sometimes hard to like, just go against the grain, go against the norm. So like, don't be afraid to do that, and to do things that matter to your family, and to share the things that get you excited and get you motivated, and like, do it as a family. Like it's really a fun thing to share. And I would say, especially for moms, like, but for dads as well, there's absolutely a way that you can get your own training in, but incorporate your kids, or in my case, your dogs, and everyone can get out, and then you can make it work, basically. So don't be afraid to try.
Yeah, I think that's great advice. And I think too, especially if you're someone who is involved in the trail running scene already, you're probably used to breaking the mold a little bit at this point. Because most trail running humans are also very like oddball humans in the best way possible. And those are the people I prefer to spend my time around, to be honest.
Yes, it's something I love about the trail community. Just everyone's
quirky
unique
in the best way.
Yes, for sure.
Great. Well, thank you for sharing all of that, Jenny. That was all really awesome information. I have a feeling like everyone watching will really enjoy everything that you shared. Yeah, but let's head on into what shoe do you choose to use, where you can tell me either your favorite shoe of all time, a shoe that lives rent-free in your head, your favorite shoe you're running in now, or all of them. You can mention more than one, but what shoe pops into your head?
Well, it's a little sad actually to share it, because my very favorite shoe is VJ Shoes Flow. And VJ Shoes is like it was a small company that's now just closed, I guess. And they're super popular. I'm a little surprised because they also make like mountain shoes, and they're super popular with White Mountain hikers. And so I was using their Ultra for White Mountain hikes. Even for when I did the 75 at Ghost Train, I used their older version of the Ultra. But the Flow is so nice because I could use it for road, I could use it for trail. I used it for the 100 at Ghost Train, and it was like perfect. And my pair is getting all worn out, and they don't, they're closed. So I've been looking at other shoes, and I'm trying some Mount to Coast shoes.
I just got some Mount to Coast shoes in the mail 2 days ago. I have the R1 and the T1. I have not run in them yet because I just opened up the boxes today and I put them on my shoe shelf. But I will provide some feedback. Do you have a shoe model from Mount to Coast that you were looking at?
So I'm using the C1 right now. I used it actually for like most of White Lake. And it was really, really cushy. So that's sort of their one that's like really, really geared towards ultra runners. It was actually, it's a road shoe, but it did fine on mellow trail. So far it's really nice.
Nice. I've heard some, I've walked in the the P1, which is their like, I think it's a slightly like support shoe. But I reached out to them and they provided me some shoes, which is very kind of them. So I'm excited to be trying them out, try out the trail shoe and that one. But it's good to get another review of another shoe. And I know that when I've been talking to my buddy Ben, who just ran the White Lake Ultras as well, he did about 88 miles in the 24-hour.
Amazing.
Which is his PR, which is very good. Congratulations to Ben. He'll be on the podcast talking about that at some point. Nice. But he was actually mentioning the VJ shoes to me, and I had never heard of them because he does Jigger Johnson every year.
So you'll see, and that's the thing. You went last year, you'd see everyone in VJ shoes for like Jigger Johnson.
That's what he was telling me. He's like, because he and I are huge shoe nerds. We used to work at the same running shoe store together. So we're constantly talking about shoes together. But I was like, okay, what shoe are you going to use for Jigger Johnson? And he was giving me the lowdown of the shoes that he saw while he was out there as well, too. And I was like, I've never heard of this brand once in my life. Like, absolutely have never heard of it. But I would wonder if you can find some like lightly used pairs online. That might be something to look into.
Yeah, well, it was funny because I would have bought like several pairs of the Flow, but
if they were going away.
Yeah, well, they actually came back online, like the VJ Shoes store came back online for a couple days, but they had stopped making the Flows. Maybe they weren't selling them enough. So I would have totally bought a few because they've just worked so well. But I'm optimistic about Mount to Coast. I think they'll be good shoes, and they're not cheap. No. But they are cheaper than, say, like Norda and some of the other ones.
Oh yeah, like the Norda. I've like looked into the Norda shoes before too, and it's like $250 for their like basic trainer, which is absolutely bananas.
Yeah. Although they'll probably, because I think what Rachel Entrekin is sponsored by Norda, so they'll still probably do okay, even with the more expensive prices.
They've also been like highly endorsed by all the people who get like, who do shoe reviews for free, like Believe in the Run and like all those shoe reviewers on YouTube who get theirs, like they get the $250 to $500, whatever it is, shoe for free. And they love that shoe. And like, I love that for them. I think that's great.
Exactly right.
And if Norda wants to send me a free pair of shoes, like I too will probably love it, but like not for that price point out of my pocket.
Yeah. So I feel like Mount to Coast is like a good compromise. And like I said, the C1 seems wonderful in its cushioning. So for like longer races, hopefully it'll do the trick.
Yeah. I'll let you know too what I think of the R1 because that one I believe is almost the same as the C1, except it has the dual lacing system on the top.
Yes.
So you can like adjust the toe and the forefoot area separately.
Yes, so. C1 has that too.
Oh, does it? Okay, great. I'll have to look up what the differences between the two of them. There must be something for them to make two different shoes. I don't know off the top of the dome. But okay, awesome. So Mount to Coast and then the VJ shoes for us here. Okay, awesome. And again, thank you, Jenny, for sharing all this lovely information. It's great to have you on. If people want to find you, is there like a good place to find you, or do you want to just tell people to find you out on the trails?
Well, definitely find me out on the trails. If you ever see me at a race, I'm at a lot of the TARC races, and then Ghost Train and White Lake, we're definitely hoping to do next year. Like always come say hi. Always love talking with people. And then typically like I share what we do on Instagram. So it's Houlahan_adventures. I just share there, and it's a really nice community. Like, it's funny. People have asked me like, do you want to make your Instagram like bigger? And like, I think you can like pay like sort of headline and things. I'm like, no, people find me like through the right channels, and it's this nice little community. So I share there, so you can connect with me there, and on Facebook, just Jenny Miller Houlahan.
Great. I'll put the link down below to your Instagram. So just in case people are interested to see like what you're up to, maybe like how you're kind of managing running with the kids, running with the dogs, all the things. I think people will really enjoy that.
Yeah. So, anytime.
And friends, if you would like to get any more information on Runnah, you can email me at runnahpod@gmail.com or hit us up on runnahpod on Instagram. But that is going to bring us to the end of the episode. Jenny, thank you again so much for joining me.
Totally my pleasure.
Yeah, this was great. And we will see you guys all soon. Bye. Thank you for listening to this episode of Runnah. This podcast is edited, hosted, and produced by me, Juliana Coughlin. Brought to you in part by the Falmouth Running Club and the Falmouth Community TV station. If you'd like to connect with us, you can find us on Instagram and on TikTok at RunnahPod. And you can send us an email at runnahpod@gmail.com. And our original theme music was brought to you by the one and the only wonderful Jeffrey Hutton. And keep up the great work. I'm proud of you.